people as possible to make representations and to make their points of view known with respect to Canada's Constitution. The House today returns to its normal procedure, and after question period, government business will be the order of the day, both in the afternoon and in the evening when the House reconvenes at 8 o'clock, and they will work probably till about 10:15 or 10:30 tonight. At the moment, there are 6 bills at second reading stage, 21 at committee of the whole stage, 5 at third reading. And with regard to private bills, there are 7 bills on the order paper at the moment.
Let us pray. We, thine unworthy servants, here gathered together in thy name, do humbly beseech thee to send down thy heavenly wisdom from above, to direct and guide us in all our considerations. Amen.
Introduction of visitors. Presenting petitions.
Member for Edmonton Glengarry.
Speaker, I would like to table a petition calling for reinstatement of health care benefits and programs for senior citizens in Alberta. The petition is signed by 3,533 seniors across Canada.
Edmonton Jasper Place.
Speaker, I would like to present a petition presented to me last evening at the highly successful Blues for Greens rally by 1,000 high school students in Calgary supporting the Environmental Bill of Rights present on the order paper.
Reading and receiving petitions. Presenting reports by standing and special committees. Notices of motions. Introduction of bills.
Provincial Treasurer.
Mr. Speaker, I'm today moving a series of bills surrounding the budget process. The first one, Mr. Speaker, is Bill number 19, and I request leave to introduce this bill, Mr. Speaker, the Lottery Fund Transfer Act. This being a money bill, His Honor, the Honourable the Lieutenant Governor, having been informed of the contents of this bill, recommends the same to the Assembly. Mr. Speaker, this bill provides for the transfer of funds from the Lottery Fund to the General Revenue Fund.
The Honourable the Provincial Treasurer has moved first reading to Bill number 19, Lottery Fund Transfer Act. Those members in favour of first reading, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. Carried.
Bill number 19, Lottery Fund Transfer Act, introduced by the Honourable Mr. Johnston, is now read at first time.
Provincial Treasurer.
Speaker, I request leave to introduce Bill number 45, the Financial Administration Act 1991. This being a money bill, His Honor, the Honourable the Lieutenant Governor, having been informed of the contents of this bill, recommends the same to the Assembly. Mr. Speaker, Bill 45 amends the Financial Administration Act to allow the government to prudently manage the loan portfolio of the Government of Alberta.
Thank you. The Honourable the Provincial Treasurer has moved first reading to Bill 45, Financial Administration Amendment Act 1991. Those members in favour of first reading, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. Motion carries.
Bill number 45, Financial Administration Amendment Act 1991, introduced by the Honorable Mr. Johnston, is now read a first time.
Provincial Treasurer.
Mr. Speaker, I request leave to introduce Bill number 46, the appropriation bill. This being a money bill, His Honor the Honorable Lieutenant Governor, having been informed of the contents of this bill, recommends the same to the Assembly. Mr. Speaker, Bill 46 is an appropriation bill to provide for the budgeted program expenditures. Now having undergone the debate here in the Legislative Assembly, I move first reading of this legislation.
The Honorable the Provincial Treasurer has moved first reading of Bill number 46, Appropriation Act 1991. Those members in favor of first reading, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. Carried.
Bill number 46, Appropriation Act 1991, introduced by the Honorable Mr. Johnston, is now read a first time.
Provincial Treasurer.
Speaker, I request leave to introduce Bill number 47, Appropriation Alberta Capital Fund Act 1991. This being a money bill, His Honor the Honorable Lieutenant Governor, having been informed of the contents of this bill, recommends the same to the Assembly. Speaker, Bill 47 allows the legislation for the Alberta Capital Fund. The Capital Fund appropriation has been debated in the Legislative Assembly already, Mr. Speaker, and this piece of legislation confirms its authorization.
The Honorable the Provincial Treasurer has moved first reading of Bill 47, Appropriation, Alberta Capital Fund Act 1991. Those members in favor of first reading, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. Carried.
Bill number 47, Appropriation Alberta Capital Fund Act 1991, introduced by the Honorable Mr. Johnston, is now read a first time.
Provincial Treasurer.
Mr. Speaker, I request leave to introduce Bill number 48, Appropriation Alberta Heritage Savings Trust Fund Capital Projects Division Act 9192. This being a money bill, His Honor the Honorable Lieutenant Governor, having been informed of the contents of this bill, recommends the same to the Assembly. Mr. Speaker, Bill 48 provides the authority to spend the Capital Projects Division of the Alberta Heritage Savings Trust Fund, and again, this appropriation has been debated here in the Legislative Assembly.
Provincial Treasurer has moved first reading to Bill number 48, Appropriation Alberta Heritage Savings Trust Fund Capital Projects Division Act 1991-92. Those members in favor of first reading, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. Carried.
Bill number 48, Appropriation Alberta Heritage Savings Trust Fund Capital Projects Division Act 1991-92, introduced by the Honorable Mr. Johnston, is now read a first time.
Provincial Treasurer, sometimes known as the member for Lethbridge East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I request leave to introduce Bill 42, the Tobacco Tax Amendment Act 1991. Mr. Speaker, this legislation provides for the increases in tobacco taxes as announced in the budget April the 4th, 1991.
The Honorable Provincial Treasurer has moved first reading to Bill 42, Tobacco Tax Amendment Act 1991. Those in favor of first reading, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. So ordered.
Bill number 42, Tobacco Tax Amendment Act 1991, introduced by the Honorable Mr. Johnston, is now read a first time.
Provincial Treasurer.
Mr. Speaker, I request leave to introduce Bill 43. Bill 43 is the Fuel Tax Amendment Act 1991. Mr. Speaker, this bill also reflects the budget decision with respect to increases in fuel taxes. At the same time, there are some administrative changes surrounding the delivery of this tax, and those are also incorporated in this legislation, but essentially it reflects the budget position.
The Honorable Provincial Treasurer has moved first reading to Bill 43, Fuel Tax Amendment Act 1991. Those in favor of first reading, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. Carried.
Bill number 43, Fuel Tax Amendment Act 1991, introduced by the Honorable Mr. Johnston, is now read a first time.
Provincial Treasurer.
Mr. Speaker, I move the first reading of Bill 44, the Alberta Corporate Tax Amendment Act 1991. Mr. Speaker, this bill does a couple of things. First of all, it reflects the rate changes which were announced in this budget with respect to large corporations. That's pursuant to the budget adjustments, Mr. Speaker. Secondly, it deals with certain adjustments to the Alberta royalty tax credit delivery of a program to the corporate tax system, in particular a new gas adjustment, and to some extent some technical changes with respect to administration of that program by the province. And thirdly, Mr. Speaker, it provides for some changes which are administratively similar to the changes introduced by various federal tax changes, and to keep our legislation in line with that legislation, we passed these as well, dealing with such things as penalties, administrative in particular.
Provincial Treasurer has moved first reading of Bill 44, Alberta Corporate Tax Amendment Act 1991. Those members in favor of first reading, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. So ordered.
Bill number 44, Alberta Corporate Tax Amendment Act 1991, introduced by the Honourable Mr. Johnston, is now read a first time.
Minister of Energy.
Mr. Speaker, I beg leave to introduce Bill number 41, the Natural Gas Marketing Amendment Act. Currently, Mr. Speaker, natural gas producers have existing netback agreements with shippers who pool supplies for resale to downstream purchasers. Netback agreements were first negotiated in 1985 when natural gas markets and prices were deregulated. Netback agreements are subject to the Natural Gas Marketing Act, which allow all producers in a pool to vote on terms and conditions, including price, offered by aggregators. Mr. Speaker, Bill 41 further extends netback agreements for a maximum period of 3.5 years. This amendment will apply to aggregators who are affiliated with or influenced in favor of the ultimate downstream buyer. And Mr. Speaker, I look forward to the debate of Bill 41 during second reading.
The Honourable Minister of Energy has moved first reading of Bill 41, Natural Gas Marketing Amendment Act 1991. Those members in favor of first reading, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. Carried.
Bill number 41, Natural Gas Marketing Amendment Act 1991, introduced by the Honourable Mr. Orman, is now read a first time.
Solicitor General.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As part of this government's ongoing effort to stop or reduce the amount of carnage on our highways, I request leave to introduce Bill 39, the Motor Vehicle Administration Amendment Act. The bill is designed to provide new consequences for anyone who continues to drive after their license has been suspended. Under this bill, vehicles operated by drivers with a suspended license for alcohol-related offenses, demerit offenses, or any other legal reason of suspension, those drivers will be subject, the automobile will be subject to immediate seizure for 30 days. Doing so will ensure that anyone who insists on driving while their license is suspended receives a swift and sure penalty. Other amendments will update the Motor Vehicle Administration Act so that references to the criminal code are current. Further, the bill will also widen the grounds a peace officer may use to immobilize a vehicle operated by an alleged impaired driver for a 24-hour period. The amendment will remove the requirement for the peace officer to suspect that the driver may reoffend, a provision which has in fact restricted the use of the program in some jurisdictions. I look forward to discussing these and other aspects of the bill with the honourable members.
The Honourable Solicitor General has moved first reading of Bill 39, Motor Vehicle Administration Amendment Act 1991. Those members in favor of first reading, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. Carried.
Bill number 39, Motor Vehicle Administration Amendment Act 1991, introduced by the Honourable Mr. Fowler, is now read a first time. Tabling returns and reports.
Minister of Economic Development and Trade.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to file with the Legislative Assembly copies of the Alberta Business Outlook, which highlights the success of the Alberta government's economic strategy, resulting in some 107,000 jobs over the past 5 years, also resulting in Alberta having the strongest economy in our great country of Canada.
Minister of Health.
Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to file with the Assembly response to written question 370.
Minister of Advanced Education.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to table two of the reports, 1989-90 of two of our 28 institutions, the University of Alberta and the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology.
Solicitor General.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased to file today a response to question number 377.
Thank you.
Introduction of special guests.
The Minister of Environment, followed by Tourism.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would like to introduce to you and to members of the Assembly the winners of this year's Alberta Environment Awards. I had the honor, Mr. Speaker, to present the awards at a luncheon today, and now the winners are in your gallery, sir, and I would ask them to stand as I read their names and be recognized by the House. First, Miss Deanne Brown of Tofield, winner in the Individual Citizens category. She is here with her parents, Peter and Yvonne Brown, her grandmother, and Mrs. Martha Tiedman, and grandfather Bob Hyde, all of Tofield. Mr. Speaker, the Olds General and Auxiliary Hospital and Nursing Home received the award in the Industry, Business, or Government Agency category. With us today, representing the Olds Hospital and Nursing Home, are Bonnie Aldrin, Director of Pharmacy, and Mike Norris, Director of Materials and Management. The award winner in the Education Institution or Organization category is the students and staff of Mike Mountain Horse Elementary School in Lethbridge. Representing the students and staff are grade 6 student Tyler Shaky and teacher Elaine Unger Pengilly. In the volunteer organization category, Mr. Speaker, the award went to the Alberta Conservation Tillage Society, which is represented today by Vice President Brian Hearn, founding president and director Gordon Hilton, and treasurer Wayne Wilderman. I would ask the House to extend congratulations to these very deserving winners of the 1991 Alberta Environment Awards.
Minister of Tourism.
Mr. Speaker, it's a pleasure to introduce to members of the Legislative Assembly three retiring members of the Alberta Tourism Education Council. They are Maurice O'Flynn, representing the Alberta Culinary Arts Foundation. Mr. O'Flynn is a founding member of the council. Tom Gallagher, representing the Alberta Restaurant and Food Service Association. And Don Gray, representing the Tourism Industry Association of Alberta. Mr. Speaker, the Alberta Tourism Education Council is committed to the excellence in the hospitality industry, and I'm pleased to note that the Canadian National Culinary Team, 4 members of which are from Alberta, with Maurice O'Flynn as team leader, recently won second place against 16 countries at the American Culinary Classic competition in Chicago. I would like to thank each for them, for the retiring members, for their work and contribution, and would ask them to rise and receive the warm welcome of this assembly.
Minister of Family and Social Services.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's a pleasure for me to be able to introduce to you and through you to the members of the Legislative Assembly 46 students from the G.W. Smith Elementary School located in the constituency of Red Deer South. They are accompanied by their teachers and parents, Mrs. Marilyn Ganger, Mr. Glenn Allen, Mrs. Norma Manning, Mrs. Melody Coppersmith, Mrs. Jane Wheeler, Mrs. Jane Bentonson, Mrs. Betty Lou Engelhart, and Mrs. Loretta Winya. They are seated in the public gallery, and I would ask them to rise and receive a warm welcome from the Assembly.
Minister of Recreation and Parks.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to introduce to you and the members of the Legislative Assembly today 28 energetic students from the village of Strome in the constituencies of Vermilion Viking. They're eagerly looking forward to the summer break. They're located in the members and public gallery. They're accompanied by their teacher, Miss Diana Combs, and their parents, Mrs. Leona Caldwell and Mr. Paul Frolier. And I'd ask that they stand now and receive the cordial welcome of this assembly.
Member for Innisfail.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to introduce to you and through you to the members of the Assembly 32 students from the Spruce View School. They're accomplished with their teacher, Mrs. Baker, Mr. Alvram, and parents, Mrs. Fleming, Mrs. Jackson, Mrs. Scott, Mrs. Neese, Mrs. Larson, and Mrs. Purley. I'd ask them to rise and receive the warm welcome, Assembly.
Edmonton Millwoods.
Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to introduce to you and to the members of the House this afternoon 12 members of the folkloric group of the Association of Relatives of the Detained and Disappeared Persons of Chile, who are on a national tour at the moment of Canada. The leaders of the group are Gala Torres Aravina, Victoria Diaz Caro, and Violeta Morales Saavedra. They're accompanied by their translator, Mr. Mario Allende. And just before asking them to now stand and receive our warm welcome, may I offer them an apology for the grossly insensitive treatment of the security staff that they suffered a few moments ago. Would they please rise and receive our warm welcome?
Honorable member. Honorable member.
Honorable member, you do yourself a great disservice in terms of that last remark.
Ministerial statements.
Environment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. All members of the House are aware, I'm sure, that this is Environment Week, which runs to next Sunday, June 9th. Environment Week is especially meaningful to those of us fortunate enough to live in Alberta. It gives all of us an opportunity to pay tribute to our province's breathtaking landscape and boundless resources. At the same time, we should ponder our responsibility for the future of our environment. This year, the theme for Environment Week is Our Environment. It's in our hands. The message here is that we can no longer take for granted the well-being of the environment. Each of us has a responsibility to protect the environment so that future generations will enjoy it as much as we do today. I also want to mention that this year Alberta Environment is celebrating its 20th anniversary. Ours was the first environment department established in Canada, and from its beginning, it has been committed to safeguarding our priceless land, water, and air. I hope that all Albertans share that commitment. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Certainly, we would also, on this side of the House, congratulate the thousands of Albertans, especially the award winners sitting up there today, who are working in all sorts of ways to protect Alberta's environment. Mr. Speaker, Albertans want a clean environment, and frankly, they're way ahead of this government in wanting this province's air, land, and water to be protected. Mr. Speaker, this government's record on the environment has been mostly talk, public relations, and very little action. But it's certainly been short on involving the public in environmental decision-making. Mr. Speaker, because of this government's inaction, Albertans have the most polluted air in the country. Frankly, it's making Alberta sick. While other regions, Mr. Speaker, they may not like to hear the truth, but it is true, Mr. Speaker. While other regions and provinces are committed to cutting air pollution levels in the coming decade, Alberta is bucking the trend and allowing the amount of pollutants to increase. This is the government that has sold off most of Alberta's forests to a handful of mostly foreign-owned companies for ridiculously low prices. In exchange for handing over an area the size of the state of Oregon to a few companies exporting unprocessed pulp, Albertans get relatively few jobs, but most of the pollution. This government has allowed these companies to discharge their waste into Alberta's river, despite the fact that other provinces are building non-polluting mills. A year ago, this government used closure to ram a bill to expand game ranching through this legislature without any environmental reviews or public involvement. Now Albertans are faced with widespread outbreak of tuberculosis and game-ranched elk, which poses a threat both to wild populations and the domestic cattle industry. This government is stalling and bringing in new environmental protection legislation into the Assembly. This is not, I stress, not the kind of environmental leadership that Albertans deserve or are looking for during Environment Week or any other time. Albertans want an environmental Bill of Rights to guarantee access to information and the right to participate in environmental decisions affecting them. Albertans are looking for tough action against polluters through strict enforcement of environmental laws. Albertans want an end to secret deals and giveaway of our forests. Albertans want their wilderness areas and endangered spaces to be adequately protected from indiscriminate development. This is the type of leadership they want, Mr. Speaker, and they're not getting it.
Oral question period.
Leader of the Opposition.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, to the Minister of Culture and Multiculturalism. Mr. Speaker, this government has always had a difficult time understanding basic rules of ethical and fair government conduct. But, Mr. Speaker, frankly, in all my time here, I've never heard a more crude admission of this fact than uttered by the Minister of Culture last week. He actually, maybe he's more honest than the rest, I don't know, Mr. Speaker, he actually bluntly admitted that you've got to be a loyal friend of the government to get government money. Mr. Speaker, the most shocking part about this is this minister apparently sees nothing wrong with this at all, Mr. Speaker. And my question to the minister is simply this. I wonder if the minister will reiterate in the Assembly today his comments that you can't get government money without having Tory friends, and explain why he thinks this is acceptable way for government to operate.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition, unfortunately, was not with me while I was making my comments in an interview with regard to loans and loan guarantees and applications before the government, and he has the facts wrong.
Misquoted, right? Mr. Speaker, this is the first minister that's ever been misquoted on the radio, Mr. Speaker. Somebody else came out with his voice, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let's look at the flip side of this, because we know what he said, Mr. Speaker, but he was also quoted what happens when you are on side with the government. Good friends, Mr. Speaker. We know that Mr. Frank Calder, a man closely with this government, Mrs. Margaret Bateman, have both gone directly from public service in the Public Affairs Bureau, which is part of the minister's department, to getting government contracts worth hundreds of thousands of dollars once they get in the private sector, Mr. Speaker. It's already there. It's in black and white. Look at public accounts, Mr. Treasurer. Mr. Speaker, the cause of this is simple. The government has refused to bring in basic ethics legislation that requires a cooling-off period before public servants can get government contracts after they leave their jobs. My question to the minister, does the minister not see anything wrong with this practice that we've seen last week, Mr. Speaker?
Mr. Speaker, the contracts to which the Honourable Leader of the Opposition refers were awarded in some cases by a tender, in other cases by direct hiring. Mr. Speaker, the contracts were awarded for work that was done. Mr. Speaker, there are many contracts awarded by many departments of government every day. And those contracts are awarded for work that is performed on a fee-for-service basis in many cases. That was certainly the case as in the issue that the member refers to. And whether or not a person who leaves government should be banned from doing work for the government forever and a day, Mr. Speaker, under the current situation, the answer to that question is no.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we're not asking forever and a day, Mr. Speaker, but almost every other provincial government and federal government sees the need for a cooling-off period. And my question to the Premier then, Mr. Speaker, because this minister doesn't know anything about ethics, to ask the Premier, is he prepared now to bring in this Code of Ethics bill with a cooling-off period so we don't run into this situation just occurred last week?
That's right.
Mr. Speaker, as the throne speech said this year, we are going to be presenting legislation on conflict of interest and code of ethics, and that legislation will be coming to the House here in the spring session. I just ask the honourable member to wait and see it, and then we'll have a chance to go through the normal type of assessment, 3 readings in the House, committee study, and I think the members will find the bill very good legislation.
Second main question, Leader of the Opposition. Second main question.
You got a problem, Mr. Speaker? If you want to make a
I
ruling,
don't have
stand
any
up.
problems at all. Let's have the second
I don't
main
see you
question.
standing up. My question is, if you want to make a ruling, a person stands up, not from the chair. Mr. Speaker, my question to the Minister of Health. Mr. Speaker, because of a lack of treatment beds in Alberta for those needing drug rehabilitation programs, a number of American firms have sprung up in this province to hawk addiction treatment centers in the U.S., Mr. Speaker. It seems to be a growing industry, costing taxpayers of Alberta more and more money. As one would expect, these centers are extremely expensive, and Alberta Health has paid out millions and millions of dollars to cover everything from airfare to accommodation to meals, as well as treatment in these American centers. My question to the Minister simply is, what monitoring is going on by the Department of Health to protect taxpayers' money?
Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition is wrong when he says that millions and millions and millions have gone out of the province. Under the Canada Health Act, the province of Alberta, like every other province, must pay for hospitalization and physician fees out of province, out of country, at the rate at which we would reimburse them here in Alberta. That is something that's required under the Canada Health Act and something that I think we cannot totally remove from our Canada Health Act compliance in this province.
Mr. Speaker, I asked about the monitoring. Clearly nothing's going on. Let me ask the Minister this question, Mr. Speaker, because we've learned from at least two sources, including U.S. Immigration, that Alberta Health will cover these costs without requiring anybody to even get a medical referral from a doctor, never mind stepping foot inside the doctor's office. The Minister has been on record before saying that a medical referral is necessary. Can she explain the contradiction, how somebody can go and get on a plane and go to the United States and can do that without even a medical referral? How does she justify that?
Mr. Speaker, I won't take the time of the House to repeat the first answer to my question, which requires the Alberta Health Care Plan to comply with the Canada Health Act with respect to paying for hospitalization and physician costs out of country, referred or not. The question, however, is the one of ensuring that there are adequate programs for the majority of Albertans here in Alberta, and certainly ADAC is working to ensure that. But as far as taking that option away from Albertans, which interestingly we now have on the record by the Leader of the Opposition, is not something that we are allowed to do under the Canada Health Act.
Speaker, I'm not talking about taking the treatment away. We should have it here in Alberta. I'm talking about not wasting taxpayers' money. Now, my question to the Minister, other provinces are moving on this and at least require a medical referral. Why is it that Alberta doesn't even require a medical referral and you're wasting taxpayers' money in doing this, Mr. Speaker?
That's the question.
Mr. Speaker, I'm of the view that we need more than just the medical referral. I think more importantly what we should do is ensure that both the Alberta Medical Association and ADAC are working together to look at what standards of program must be met for these families who are sending kids out of the province as a condition of federal or provincial funding flowing. And that process is beginning now.
Member for Edmonton Glengarry on behalf of the Liberal Party.
Mr. Speaker, last week Albertans lost what many believe to be a national treasure. Hurtig Publishing went down and jobs and the activity over many years was lost to Alberta and to Canada. Hurtig went down because he couldn't sell off the inventory of the junior encyclopedia that he had on stock. He has told us, Mr. Speaker, that he went to the government for help and that he was told that because he had no political friends, he wouldn't be getting help. Now, Mr. Speaker, it's clear that unless you have conservative pals in the government, you're not going to be considered for business assistance. My questions are to the Honourable Premier. Will the Premier confirm that the Minister's statements regarding this whole Hurtig matter are in fact the policy of the Getty government, that is to deny business opportunity to anybody who doesn't have those conservative connections?
Well, Mr. Speaker, it's remarkable the minister who the Honourable Leader of the Liberal Party must be referring to is in the House, and surely he would ask his questions of the minister.
Right.
Mr. Speaker, I noted with interest that the Premier thought this was quite a funny matter when the Leader of the Opposition brought the matter up first for his consideration. It's the Premier that I'm asking the questions of. Let me put it to the Premier. Is this in fact the way that your government does business, Mr. Premier, that you must have conservative connections before you get consideration for any business opportunity or venture?
No, Mr. Speaker.
Well, Mr. Speaker, that's not the perception of Albertans, and the Dan Quayle of the North that runs around shooting his mouth off and then either denies it, or runs for cover, is giving a bad impression of your government, Mr. Premier. My last question, Mr. Premier, is this. Please identify the criteria, the conditions that Albertans must satisfy before they get consideration from your government for business ventures or business assistance.
Mr. Speaker, those smart comments about a member of the House are worth about as much as a Liberal membership card.
That's right.
And Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Leader of the Liberal Party is asking questions that you could hardly get into during a question period, such as the criteria that are used. Now, the Minister of Culture and Multiculturalism is here. The leader of the Liberal Party has referred to him several times. I think he may well want to augment my answer.
Agreed. Minister, Culture, Multiculturalism, briefly.
Speaker, obviously, Mr. Speaker, the leader of the Liberal Party doesn't want to get an answer to the question that he's asking, but I will give him one. Mr. Speaker, the matter he's referring to, the question of Mel Hurtig and Mel Hurtig Publishing, of course, nobody's happy to see a company fail. But, Mr. Speaker, Hurtig Publishers failed because of a decision Hurtig Publishers made, and that was to market its product in a certain way. The public of Canada decided it didn't want to part with that amount of money for those amount of books. But in the past, Mr. Speaker, this government has provided Hurtig Publishers with in excess of $4.5 million in government aid for previous projects. Previous projects, Mr. Speaker, by the Liberal leader's good friend Mel Hurtig have been supplied in excess of $4.5 million in government aid. On this particular project, Mr. Speaker, the problem was in the private sector. People wouldn't buy it. And the solution also, Mr. Speaker, was in the private sector with the purchase by McClellan and Stewart.
Thank you. Smoky River. Smoky River. Smoky River.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This past spring, the new gross revenue income protection program was put in place, and it was introduced to protect farmers from the possible threat of low price in grain. The cutoff date has come and gone. It was May the 17th, as I recall, and I'd like to ask my question to the Minister of Agriculture. What has been the uptake of this program as far as the grain producers are concerned? Do you have the statistics available?
Mr. Speaker, we have the statistics available on the number of farmers that have registered. That number is in excess of 23,000, which is a little bit higher than I would have projected. We will have to wait until after June the 20th to get an accurate figure on the number of acres covered, because remember, it's the number of acres, not the number of registrants that will dictate the amount of premium that the government will have to put into the program.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The GRIP program was part of a three-part program. Basically, the first was a crop insurance, which protects farmers against yield losses, the GRIP program, which protects them against price deficiencies, and the third of the part of the package was the NISA program. And there is a fair amount of interest in the agricultural community, and the NISA program, of course, is one that is to protect the farmers against cash flow loss. What is the status of this program? As yet, as my understanding is, the province hasn't become part of this program. Would the minister share with us what the status of this program is as of today?
Mr. Speaker, as I've stated in the Assembly before, during the budgetary process, we made a decision to proceed with the Revenue Insurance Protection Program because that will do something for cash flow and the availability of operating money this spring. We made a conscious decision at that time not to enter NISA at this point in time because there was no immediate impact to the farming community. As you're aware, or some of the members are possibly aware, the federal government which has agreed to be responsible for the third line of defense, made a decision to use the NISA mechanism to distribute third line of defense money to the grain and oilseed producers, and are hence using a provincial sign-up as part of a lever to get NISA accepted across the nation. We're still taking the position and saying to farmers that, look, that is not the true NISA we're talking about. This is strictly federal money. It's strictly federal administration. Well, we agree that the NISA mechanism is an appropriate way to determine who should receive the money and how much money. There's really no necessity for provincial involvement. Talk to your MP and encourage them to release their monies.
Edmonton Avonmore. Edmonton Avonmore.
Mr. Speaker, my questions are to the Premier. Mr. Speaker, we have recently debated the government's commitment to the Premier's Council on the Family, a council that is shrouded in secrecy. An action plan indicates that in March or April of this year, Cabinet would have given approval to a family policy grid prior to consultation with community, special interest, and grassroots groups. To the Premier, what assurances will he give that his government does not intend to use this council to develop a family policy for Alberta which supports the government's own preconceived ideas about Alberta's families?
Well, Mr. Speaker, as we've said in the House very often, it's the hope that the Premier's Council on Strengthening Families will be able to strengthen families in all their forms in this province. And as I've said before, it's a very diverse forms of families in the province, and I hope that because they are such a cornerstone of our society, that we are successful in being able to strengthen them.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we have had some mixed messages in here, but my second question again to the Premier, in view of the fact that we do not have a definition of the family and its variety of forms, and at the same time we hear again and again this government's emphasis on stability and order, we are concerned that the well-being of individual family members may be sacrificed in the name of preserving the family. Mr. Speaker, I think here of the abused child or the battered wife and her children. Again, to the Premier, what assurances do we have that this Council will recognize the importance of balancing society's need for strong, stable families with individual family members' needs to grow and develop in safe and nurturing environments?
Well, Mr. Speaker, the honourable member should know that the Council is made up of Albertans, fine Albertans who are contributing to the future of the province. And I would hope she would have respect for members of this province, Albertans, who are working together to build the strength of this province. The chairman of the Premier's Council is in the House, and he may want to supplement my answer.
Red Deer North, briefly.
The only secrecy would be why the member is having trouble reading the many publications that have gone forth describing the work of the Council directly related to the development of the policy grid. Every minister has assigned a senior person from each department to be part of developing this family policy grid. That's also been done in consultation with the NGOs from all around the province, which have been formed together as a result of initiatives by the Council, pulling together a network to receive that type of input. We're also in the process and have already started public forums to have input there. We've also been attending all the family community support services meetings around the province. It's one of the most extensive processes certainly that I've been involved in, and I think that we could possibly have seen. So the input has been tremendous, and I would welcome the member to give us some more.
Edmonton Goldbar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's clear from the overwhelming cries of protest from Alberta seniors that the cuts in services simply can't be tolerated. Mr. Speaker, ironically, as we begin to celebrate Seniors Week with all the kinds of events, constituency offices continue to be overwhelmed with calls from angry seniors wanting to voice their concern and protest. This in spite of all of the government's disclaimers. My first question, Mr. Speaker, is to the Minister of Health. Since the magnitude of the protests from seniors who are already reeling under the GST and the cost of living, since that has become very evident, and now that the seniors themselves have helped us to understand the dire consequences of the government action, will the minister now reinstate the cuts in services?
Hear, hear.
Mr. Speaker, I am not an advocate for the status quo with respect to our seniors programs. I look at the availability of new high technology services that we were unable to be providing for seniors under our Aids to Daily Living program. I look at the fact that we weren't giving support for power wheelchairs, many other things that caused us to look at the whole program and in this and other areas. I think the fact that we have increased our support for seniors programs speaks very high of the priority that this government places on them, and the structural changes that we have made for the programs are ones that I believe will ensure their sustainability and future viability for all seniors in this province.
Mr. Speaker, it's not working. I know it, the minister knows it, and the seniors know it. My question then, Mr. Speaker, is to the Premier. Since the ministers have obviously failed to recognize how serious this concern is among Alberta seniors, the depth of the concern, I want to ask the Premier, Mr. Speaker, if he will take this matter into his own hands. Will he meet with seniors now and resolve this very critical situation?
Hear, hear.
Mr. Speaker, I appreciate the attention and representation from my honourable friend, from the member from Goldbar. She should feel good about the fact that the minister responsible for seniors programs and the member responsible for the seniors council, our advisory council, are both meeting with seniors every day. And as seniors realize how the programs have been restructured and the additional dollars that are being put into the seniors programs, we find, and we've all had opportunities to be throughout the province in the past several days when the House was not in session, that seniors are understanding that these programs are the best in Canada by far.
Calgary Foothills.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In recent days, there's been a considerable distorted publicity about the government's diversification initiatives. And I thought that might raise some catcalls from the opposition, and yet the facts are there, Mr. Speaker. Alberta's economy is the strongest in Canada.
Right.
And Alberta's economy is projected, if they'd listen, they might learn something, is projected to grow significantly in 1991.
Right. Yeah.
This last week, Mr. Speaker, there have been many programs on the media, particularly the television, that have interviewed investment houses and investment brokers that have made comparisons as to the future and the prospects of the country, and they've gone province by province. And I was wondering if the Minister of Economic Development and Trade can explain specifically what is contributing to Alberta's growth, strength and growth in comparison to what is happening in other jurisdictions across the country.
Good question.
Mr. Speaker, I'm more than happy to respond to the honourable member's question. It's interesting to note, too, when we examine the jobs that have been created, these some 107,000 jobs over the last 5 years, the majority of those jobs have been created outside of our traditional sectors, those being agriculture and energy. And they have been created outside of those sectors because we have been very active in pursuing further diversification in this great province. And that, Mr. Speaker, has been underscored by the study that we tabled, that we filed in the Legislative Assembly earlier during this session. Also, it has been underscored by third-party analysis, such as the Conference Board, the Royal Bank, Stats Canada. A number of them have suggested that Alberta is going to lead economic growth. Our loan guarantees, Mr. Speaker, are one component of that diversification strategy. Our very active encouragement as it relates to the further sales of the exportation of goods that are produced within the province of Alberta, and our trade policy are another component of that diversification strategy. A further component of that diversification strategy is the lowest taxation rate of any province for the small business community. Mr. Speaker, and we're going to continue to actively diversify this province so that we can have meaningful jobs for our young people.
Calgary Foothills.
Mr. Speaker.
Calgary Foothills.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know it's a joke to the opposition because they can't stand success in an economy.
They don't like good news. They don't like good news.
Mr. Speaker, last week I had the opportunity to door knock many homes in my riding, and my constituents and I were wondering, we've heard a lot of negative, in fact, total depression from the opposition about the negative ventures that we have had to deal with of recent. And I was wondering, could the minister cite some examples of the positive ventures we have supported and what future initiatives are planned to continue for a strong economy?
Mr. Speaker, in the package that we filed with the Legislative Assembly, we highlight a number of case studies that have produced thousands of jobs, and we can go through them. Such projects as Alberta Pacific, the Caroline project of which Shell is involved in, the Husky upgrader itself, which is going to create some 1,800 jobs. We also highlighted a number of case studies that the Alberta Opportunity Company has been involved in the creation of thousands of companies throughout rural Alberta, which have played a very important part in the diversification of our province. As it relates to the future, Mr. Speaker, with the improved economy, we have indicated, and we've indicated over the last number of years, that because the economy is strong within this province, we are pulling back, and we're pulling back substantially as we have done in the past. I want to leave the honourable member, though, with the assurance that we are going to leave ourselves the flexibility in the event that there is a project that will contribute substantially to the further diversification and the welfare of this great province of ours. We want to have the flexibility to involve ourselves. But we're also, as we've indicated in the past, and it was highlighted in the speech from the throne, we are going to have a conference on the economy. We are going to issue a discussion paper whereby we're going to seek the valued advice from the Alberta population as to the direction they would like to see us take in future decades.
Edmonton Jasper, please.
Mr. Speaker, the Public Health Advisory and Appeal Board has finally made public its findings and ruling on 40,000 tons of oil, grease, and asphalt contaminated soil which was dumped in the Foothills Regional Landfill south of Okotoks. The report finds that this material doesn't meet the government's legal definition of the word hazardous, but it does qualify under the Public Health Act as a nuisance, which is defined as a condition that is or might become injurious or dangerous to the public health. Sort of like our minister, not certifiably hazardous, but certainly a nuisance. In view of the fact that this material arrived as the direct result of a series of approvals issued by Alberta Environment, I'd like to know if the minister would now like to apologize to the people of Okotoks at the start of Environment Week for the nuisance he has visited upon them.
Well, Mr. Speaker, no, I'm not going to apologize to the people of Okotoks. As a matter of fact, I think that Alberta Environment went out of its way to conduct an investigation to revisit that whole situation, to bring forward a very open, a very honest report, and the Board of Health Advisory Appeal Board agreed with our report that the material was not hazardous, that indeed some changes should be made relative to the operation of the landfill, and that is entirely up to the local jurisdiction, i.e. the local Board of Health and the Foothills Landfill Authority. And I'll say to the honourable member, if he wants us to take over all these regional landfill sites and to get into the business of running landfill, then I would propose that he recommend to us how we affect the fundamental change in policy. Right now, the policy is that local jurisdictions are responsible for the operation of local landfills.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I was at the hearing, and Alberta Environment clearly indicated that they issued the approvals necessary for this material, which is injurious and dangerous to the public health, was dumped in the local landfill. I'm not asking to take them over. I'm asking them to stop issuing approvals to put material like that in local dumps. And now that the ruling has been made, I would like to know specifically if the minister has taken any particular steps to ensure that the material can be encapsulated within the 60 days, or is he merely washing his hands of the affair, having caused the problem?
Well, first of all, Mr. Speaker, this honourable member is in fact the hazard. He's a little bit more than a nuisance. He's a menace. He's an absolute menace with the way he spreads misinformation and constantly misleads the troops. Mr. Speaker, the Department of the Environment concluded that the waste was not hazardous. There will be ongoing monitoring by the department in conjunction with the local Board of Health and the Foothills Landfill Authority. The operators have assured us that they can indeed put this nuisance waste into a separate cell. Mr. Speaker, everything that can be done is being done, and all I can say, Mr. Speaker, is that the department and the minister in this particular case acted with all dispatch and in a completely responsible fashion.
Calgary Northwest.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, one of the success stories that the Minister for Economic Development and Trade likes to crow about is Carbovan and the $6 million we lost there. And the question I have to the Minister deals with this particular company. We loaned $6 million, and the Minister has said that the $6 million is fully guaranteed by Agra Industries, and yet minute number 180 from the Treasury Board says that in 1987-88 a further $2 million loan guarantee was offered to Agra Industries and was in fact drawn upon in 1989-90, bringing the total to $8 million. My question to the Minister, with respect to this $2 million, was the $2 million loan guarantee that went to Agra ultimately destined to go to Carbovan, making our total exposure $8 million?
No, Mr. Speaker, and let me take the liberty of filing with the Legislative Assembly a letter I sent to the leader of the Liberal Party, whereby we outline our exposure. Since he's already referenced this letter to the media, I feel I should file it with the Legislative Assembly so that it is available to everybody, indicating that we have no exposure.
There you are. Should have asked Larry.
Well, then my supplementary question, if the Minister over here will put his yap shut for a while, is what did the $2 million that was given to Agra Industries given for, and what securities have you got for it, or is there going to be another loser like you've had in the past?
Mr. Speaker, I'm more than happy to respond to the honourable member, because on a consistent basis in this Legislative Assembly we have to deal with accusations that are totally false, just as the honourable member has suggested now, whereby both parties are involved in a campaign of misinformation even though they have the information available to them. I tabled a letter in this Legislative Assembly that we sent to the leader of the Liberal Party indicating that Agra Industries themselves guaranteed the $6 million exposure by the Alberta Opportunity Company so that there would be no possibility whatsoever of a $6 million loss. The honourable member suggests that there is an opportunity for loss. The honourable member is incorrect.
He's wrong.
Lester Slave Lake.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The health facility in Slave Lake is in need of major development due to the flood of 1988. There is also a gap identified because there are no long-term care beds to accommodate the aging population of Slave Lake. This urgent need, I think, is required for development within the area. Would the Minister of Health advise the constituents of Lesser Slave Lake, and particularly of Slave Lake, as to the status of the Slave Lake Hospital?
Mr. Speaker, the Slave Lake Hospital is one of about 30 projects which have been committed to by the province of Alberta and not yet proceeded into construction. not just Slave Lake, but many other communities are waiting to find the status of their own project. With respect specifically to Slave Lake, as the member notes, the project does rate high with respect to the need for long-term beds in the Slave Lake area, but the project also combines the total replacement and structure of a new acute care facility in addition to long-term needs, and as a result loses some of its high ranking. Part of the discussion which I've initiated with the Department of Health is to look at projects like Slave Lake, which with a refined definition of scope of the project might meet the needs of Albertan taxpayers by ensuring that we're spending the dollars that we most need to spend, as well as the acute and long-term needs of Slave Lake. That consultation process is underway, and I hope that we'll be able to come forward with a plan of a scheduled building of these projects in order that communities like Slave Lake might know when their project will go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the fact that there are some consultation going on with the community and particularly the board. My question then is to the Minister of Municipal Affairs. Since there is no lodge available, can the Minister indicate to the constituents of Slave Lake whether or not the municipal affairs officials will be working cooperatively with the health officials in order for us to accommodate the aging population within the area?
Mr. Speaker, the honourable member raised a very important question, and one she's raised with this ministry and the Minister of Health on a number of occasions for her constituents. It is very important under the current circumstances where you have to make choices with regards to capital funds that we coordinate it in a very significant way in terms of social housing with the health care facilities of the province. We have been doing that, and we intend to continue to do that. And with regards to the Slave Lake project, we intend to give a very special emphasis with regards to that coordination and try and meet the needs of the seniors in that area.
Calgary Mountain View.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Legislation tabled by the Provincial Treasurer this afternoon proposes to raise the province's debt ceiling, I understand, by $2 billion. To raise it from, I understand, Mr. Speaker, the figures are something like going from $11.5 billion to $13.5 billion. I'd like to ask the Provincial Treasurer, Mr. Speaker, if you tell us how he can reconcile this $2 billion increase in the province's debt with his claim that this year's budget is balanced.
Yeah. Speaker, there's no question that the budget presented April the 4th, 1991 is balanced. But I can also say, Mr. Speaker, that there's been quite a review of the budgets across Canada over the past couple of months, and I'd be more than willing to provide that information to the Assembly. And I think I should, Mr. Speaker, just out of courtesy, advise the House that just last week Ontario's credit rating was downgraded again. No, that was last week. It was downgraded again. That's the third time, Mr. Speaker, that Ontario's credit rating has been downgraded by a similar socialist government, Mr. Speaker, who has no respect for the taxpayer's dollar, who want to run large deficits, Mr. Speaker, without care. And I can tell you, Mr. Speaker, that's the kind of thing you get from those socialists across the way. Now, Mr. Speaker, the debate on this bill will be proceeding. The member knows the rules in the Assembly, and this debate on this bill will proceed like every other piece of legislation, Mr. Speaker, and I look forward to his comments sometime over the course of the next couple of weeks.
Well, Mr. Speaker, this provincial treasurer always wants to talk about Ontario, but unfortunately this is Alberta. I will tell the provincial treasurer that at least the Ontario government levels with its people and tells them the truth about what they're doing. And I'd also remind the provincial treasurer that this $2 billion increase is only slightly less per person than the budget deficit in Ontario. So I'd like to ask the provincial treasurer, given these provisions that he introduced in legislation, will he now undertake to introduce a new budget, one that tells the truth to Albertans, one that accurately reflects this government's true financial situation?
Mr.
Speaker, the member is making that spurious correlation between the request for flexibility in terms of managing the province's fiscal position and the position taken by this government. There's no doubt, Mr. Speaker, that the expenditure program, which we've outlined, is one of the most effective controlled expenditure programs of any government in Canada. And our revenues, Mr. Speaker, as we forecast, are on point right now, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, it is, in fact, the coarsest kind of comparison to suggest that because you're increasing the amount of money that's required for the government to manage such things as intra-year cash flows and rollover of debt, Mr. Speaker, that for some reason there's an increase in our debt. Mr. Speaker, I thought it was very descriptive and revealing to hear the member from Mountain View say, it's unfortunate we're in Alberta. That's what he said, Mr. Speaker. It's unfortunately we're in Alberta. It is unfortunate, Mr. Speaker, that we have this caliber of representation across the way. It is unfortunate for Alberta that we have that kind of representation, Mr. Speaker. And the people of Alberta will know full well. They have one message. This is a balanced budget, strong economic...
Edmonton Calder.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my questions are to the Minister of Health. This government continues to cut back on programs affecting Albertans who depend on these programs to live healthy lives. This week, the Department of Health is informing AIDS for Daily Living clients that more than 70 items, including supplies such as diapers, catheters, walking and bathing aids, will no longer be covered effective July 1st. Mr. Speaker, given that these services are directly related to an individual's health, I would ask the Minister, why is this Minister's first priority is to cut her budget rather than continue to provide these essential services to people who need them?
Mr. Speaker, as the honourable member should know, the AADL budget has not been cut. In fact, it's been increased substantially to $60 million. Over and above the 47, I believe, million that was budgeted last year for the program. If we look at a procedure like catheterization, I think the honourable member will find that the clean catheterization technique, which is being used in other jurisdictions and being proven as an effective technique against infection since 1973, is one that we are asking Albertans to use. The issue becomes the frequent catheterization as opposed to simply sterile catheterization each time, and we will be working with those clients who need catheterization and need to be educated in the clean catheterization technique before the program changes are implemented on July the 1st.
Well, Mr. Speaker, this government is not only going to charge for supplies, and there's 70 items on the list. Many people will be restricted in the quantities of supplies that they require to remain healthy. Given that one such person, and this is just one example, is an 8-year-old girl who will be restricted in the number of catheters she needs, putting her health at risk, will this minister recognize she is jeopardizing the health of this child and many other Albertans by restricting these supplies or even deleting them, and commit to continue to provide coverage for these essential services?
Mr. Speaker, I assure the honourable member, and through consultation with medical doctors who are familiar with the clean catheterization technique, that the health of this young girl will not be put in jeopardy. But certainly learning a new technique in the catheter use will be one that the program will be teaching her family to ensure that she's safely covered. The honourable member is right in the area, for example, of disposable products. One of the principles that we looked at the restructuring of the Alberta AIDS to Daily Living program was environmental consciousness. I think it's a very important part of it. We are not funding the level of disposable products that we did in the past, but we're rather looking to the effective reuse of those projects, not just in the AIDS to Daily Living program, but throughout the health system, including in the institutional setting.
Westlock Sturgeon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question today is to the Premier. I believe, Mr. Speaker, most would agree it was a tribute to him and to the legislature that Albertans have an all-party committee out circulating the province listening to ideas on the Constitution. But there is, however, Mr. Speaker, I think a gap appearing in the relationship between our province and treaty Indians. Mr. Speaker, I was wondering whether the Premier would consider setting up a similar type constitutional committee, an all-party committee of the House, that have ongoing meetings with the treaty Indian chiefs of Alberta.
Mr. Speaker, I think the honourable member would acknowledge that the government has taken very heavily the responsibility for dealing with Aboriginal peoples within this province, and he would know the tremendous strides we've been able to make in the area of self-government for Métis people, an agreement unmatched anywhere in Canada, where they are able to have land and be in control and govern, and in a transition period move into full opportunities within our province. In the area of treaty Indians, we have settled claims, are working on claims diligently as possible. I know the honourable member has now made an additional representation. Because of my respect for his concern, I will consider it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Premier is indeed correct that there was a long ongoing talks with the Aboriginal Métis, but the Aboriginal Treaty Indians are now evincing in a couple briefs to the committee an interest in meeting with government, which is very rare news. So I would like to encourage the Premier to think seriously, along with the Deputy Premier, about setting a committee up that would take next 2 years, say. This is something we don't have to rush, something that they should meet with the Treaty Indian chiefs and the Treaty Indians.
Mr. Speaker, the government certainly wouldn't pass up any opportunities for consultation. I just want to make sure the honourable member understands that treaty Indians are the responsibility of the federal government. However, we would try in every way possible to work with them. And also, Mr. Speaker, I know he wouldn't want me to prejudge any report that might come from our all-party select committee, so I think we should see what the committee recommends, of course.
Orders of the day.